"Hold on, we're removing it," she said. The rancher nodded, then felt completely exhausted. The sun was dipping low over the wide plains of Ralden IV, casting long shadows across the rolling fields of golden grass. The planet had a quiet beauty, a rhythm that matched the simple life of Cal Merrick, the rancher who had called this world home for nearly 30 years. From sunrise to sunset, he tended to his herd of genetically adapted grazers, creatures strong enough to survive the planet's occasional dust storms and sudden heat waves. Cal liked the solitude. It gave him time to think, time to listen to the wind, and time to watch the subtle patterns of life unfold around him. On this evening, however, the quiet was interrupted. A low hum, unfamiliar and steady, filled the air. Cal looked up, squinting against the glare of the setting sun. In the distance, a metallic glint caught his eye, a small drone descending from the sky. He straightened, wiping his hands on his worn pants, and shaded his eyes. The drone hovered above the grass for a moment before touching down softly, kicking up only a few blades. From the drone emerged a figure in a sleek, silver exosuit. Dr. Leora Vex moved with purpose, her boots pressing lightly into the soil. She carried equipment that seemed far beyond anything Cal had seen on the frontier. Sensors, scanners, and a handheld device that emitted a soft blue glow. Cal felt a mix of curiosity and caution. He had dealt with traders, prospectors, and even a few scientists over the years, but there was something different about her, a confidence that seemed to radiate from her even before she spoke. "Evening," she called out, her voice calm but firm. "I'm Dr. Leora Vex. I'm here to remove something." Cal raised an eyebrow. "Remove what exactly?" he asked. He stepped closer, his boots crunching against the dry earth. The grazers in the nearby pens shifted nervously, sensing something unusual in the air. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she scanned the horizon with a small device that hummed softly in her hands. "It's beneath the surface," she finally said. "Something ancient, dangerous. We need to extract it carefully or it could cause serious problems." Cal frowned. Dangerous, ancient. His mind raced. He had seen strange things in his years on Ralden IV, but nothing quite like this. Still, there was something about the way she said it, calm, precise, and unshakable, that made him trust her, even if only a little. "I'm just a rancher," he said. "Don't usually deal with ancient, dangerous things." "That's fine," she replied with a small nod. "I just need your permission to work on your land. It's the safest spot for removal." Cal hesitated. Part of him wanted to say no, to tell her to take her strange machine and leave. But another part, the part that had spent years solving unexpected problems on the frontier, recognized that this could be something extraordinary. Finally, he nodded. "All right, you can work here, but don't go breaking my land too much." She gave a small, professional smile. "We'll be careful." With that, she turned and began setting up her equipment. Robotic arms extended from her main vehicle, sensors lowered into the ground, and a soft hum filled the air. Cal watched, fascinated, as she and her team, another two drones emerged from the main vehicle, worked in silent synchronization. As the minutes passed, Cal felt a strange sensation. At first, it was subtle, a light heaviness in his limbs, a fatigue that seemed to settle over him without warning. He shook his head and muttered, "Just tired from the heat," but the feeling only deepened. Within moments, his arms felt heavy, and every step toward the team required effort he didn't understand. Dr. Vex glanced at him as she adjusted a scanner. "You okay?" she asked. Cal nodded quickly, forcing a smile. "Just tired, that's all." But even as he spoke, his body ached in ways that made no sense. His mind felt clouded, like a fog had rolled in without warning. The exosuit scanners beeped softly. Dr. Vex frowned. She knelt beside one of the devices and adjusted a few settings. "Interesting," she murmured. She spoke to the drones in a series of precise commands, and the hum of the equipment shifted slightly. Cal leaned against his fence, trying to regain his strength. He watched as the machines began to dig into the soil, sending small tremors across the ground. The air seemed to shimmer with energy, an almost imperceptible ripple, like heat over a desert plain. His exhaustion worsened. For the first time, he felt a pang of fear, not for himself, but for his home, his land, and his herd. Dr. Vex noticed his unease. She walked over, her steps careful. "This is normal," she said gently. "The device beneath the surface is releasing energy. It affects humans differently than machines or animals. You may feel drained, disoriented. Just try to stay seated. We'll be done soon." Cal swallowed hard, gripping the fence. He had always prided himself on his endurance, his ability to work through exhaustion, heat, and storms. But this was different. Every muscle in his body screamed for rest. He nodded slowly, trusting her, even as the fog in his mind thickened. The machines worked tirelessly. A metal claw descended into the ground, digging carefully around a large, buried object. The earth seemed to resist at first, then gave way to the precision of the robotic tools. Sparks of light danced along the surface as sensors scanned the energy radiating from the buried device. Cal, despite his weakness, found himself drawn closer, fascinated. He had faced wild storms, rogue predators, and mechanical failures, but he had never seen anything like this. Suddenly, the ground trembled more violently. Cal stumbled, gripping the fence to steady himself. A low, resonant hum filled the air, vibrating through his chest. The grazers stamped their feet nervously, sensing the change. Dr. Vex's eyes narrowed. "It's more active than we expected," she said. She issued a series of commands to the drones, and the hum shifted again, softer now but more precise. "Keep calm," she told Cal. "We're controlling it, just hold on." Cal wanted to speak, to ask questions, but his words stuck in his throat. The exhaustion was almost overwhelming now. His knees buckled slightly, and he leaned heavily against the fence. His vision blurred at the edges, and he could feel the energy tugging at him in ways he could not understand. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the sensation eased. Cal gasped for breath, gripping the fence tightly. Dr. Vex approached him again. "You're safe," she said softly. "It's temporary. We can continue, but you need to rest after this." Cal nodded, still dizzy, still trying to process the day's events. He had watched a group of humans and machines extract an object from the ground that seemed almost alive, felt a force that drained him to his core, and yet somehow survived. He realized in a quiet moment of clarity that this planet held more mysteries than he had ever imagined. Dr. Vex looked around the plains, her sensors glowing softly. "We'll need a few more hours," she said, "and then it will be gone." Cal gave a weary smile, brushing the sweat from his brow. "You take care of it," he said. "I'll try to stay upright." As the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, the team continued their work. The plains were quiet again, save for the hum of machines and the soft whisper of wind. Cal sat back against his fence, exhausted but alert, aware that the life of a rancher had just intersected with something far beyond his world, and that this was only the beginning. For the first time in years, he realized that his small, simple life was part of a much larger story. And whatever lay beneath the ground, he knew one thing. Humans, stubborn, resilient, and unyielding, still had a role to play in the vast, mysterious universe. The next morning, a pale light spread across the plains of Ralden IV. The golden grass shimmered under the early sun, and the air was filled with the soft hum of the morning breeze. For Cal Merrick, it felt like any other day, except it was. His body still ached from the previous evening. Every step he took toward the water trough for his livestock felt heavier than the last. Even the simple act of bending to fill a bucket required effort he wasn't used to. He watched his herd graze peacefully, but he could not shake the memory of the strange energy that had flowed from beneath his land. It had been subtle at first, a dull fatigue, but then a deep exhaustion had overtaken him. His body had almost refused to obey his mind. Even now, he could feel remnants of it lingering like a quiet pulse beneath his skin. "Morning, Mr. Merrick," a familiar voice called. It was Dr. Leora Vex, emerging from her exosuit, now partially open at the chest to allow ventilation. She carried a small, handheld scanner, tapping its screen as she walked. Cal straightened, nodding in acknowledgement. "Morning," he replied, trying to sound normal though he still felt drained. "How's the whatever it is doing?" Dr. Vex's eyes softened as she approached him. "It's more active than we thought. The energy it releases is subtle but persistent. Machines can handle it, animals can ignore it, but humans," she paused, tapping her chin. "Humans are affected the most." Cal frowned. "Affected how?" "Exhaustion, confusion, sometimes even temporary memory lapses," she explained. "It doesn't hurt permanently, but it can drain you quickly. You're experiencing it firsthand." He rubbed his arms. "Feels like it. I couldn't even walk properly yesterday." "Doctor." Vex nodded, her brow furrowing slightly. "That's why we need to remove it carefully. We can't just dig it out. We need precision. Any sudden move could release more energy than your body can handle, or worse, cause an uncontrolled reaction." Cal swallowed hard, glancing at the distant plains. The wind moved the tall grass in waves, and his herd seemed unusually alert, as if sensing the device beneath the ground. He realized that it wasn't just machines that reacted to the energy. Nature itself was aware. Even the soil seemed to pulse faintly under his feet. "Do you want me to help?" Cal asked, surprising himself. Dr. Vex raised an eyebrow. "You're still recovering. You don't have to, but—" She hesitated. "Your experience with the land could help us anticipate changes the machines can't detect." Cal nodded slowly. Despite the exhaustion, a spark of determination ignited in him. He had faced storms, wild predators, and dust waves that could strip the skin off a person, but he had never been tested against something this strange. If his knowledge of the land could make the removal safer, he would do it. "All right," he said, straightening his shoulders. "Tell me what to do." Dr. Vex handed him a small device, no bigger than a tablet. "This monitors energy levels around the area. Think of it as a warning system. If the readings spike, it means the device is reacting. You'll alert us immediately." Cal accepted it, feeling the weight in his hands. It was simple compared to the complex machinery she operated, but he understood it. He had lived with machines and tools all his life, and this was just another tool, another way to survive the day. Hours passed. The team worked with precision. Robotic arms dug slowly, carving out the earth around the device. Sensors scanned every inch, mapping the energy radiating from beneath the surface. The deeper they went, the more active the device became. Cal's body responded immediately, waves of fatigue washing over him every time the sensors picked up a spike. "Cal," Dr. Vex called, noticing him swaying slightly. "Sit down. You need to conserve your energy." "I'm fine," he insisted, though he dropped to a fence post, letting his arms rest on his knees. "Just take some getting used to." She studied him for a moment. "Your endurance is unusual. Most humans would be down for hours by now. You keep going even when every fiber of your body protests." Cal shrugged, a faint smile on his lips. "Guess that's frontier life. You either push through or you don't survive." Her lips curved slightly. "It's remarkable. Humans are adaptable, resilient. Machines and technology can do many things, but your instincts, your willpower, that's something they can't replicate." Cal laughed softly. "You make it sound like I'm some kind of hero. I just want to keep my land safe." And in a way, he was a hero. Not because he sought glory, but because he represented the quiet, stubborn strength of humanity. While machines could calculate and predict, only a human could adapt to unexpected challenges in real time. Only a human could act on instinct, using knowledge built over years, honed through daily survival. As the team dug deeper, the device became more active. Blue sparks flickered along the excavation site. Energy waves rippled through the soil, and small tremors shook the ground. The grazers stamped nervously, huddling together. Cal stood up, scanning the area. He realized that the land itself seemed alive in response to the alien energy. The wind shifted unpredictably, carrying faint vibrations that set the grass swaying in odd patterns. Even the sun seemed to flicker through thin clouds, though Cal knew it was only a trick of the light. "Cal, monitor the spikes," Dr. Vex instructed. "We can't risk the device becoming unstable." He nodded, gripping the small monitor. Every spike made him flinch, and with each surge he felt the pull of exhaustion pressing him to the ground. Still, he stayed alert, focusing on the readings. His body protested, but his mind sharpened in response. The human instinct to survive, to protect, was stronger than the draining energy. By mid-afternoon, the extraction was halfway complete. Cal felt like he had run a marathon, even though he had moved only a few hundred feet. His legs burned, his arms trembled, but he refused to sit down. He had learned that humans endure, that when the universe throws something unknown at you, the choice is simple: fight, adapt, or fail. The device began to hum louder, a deep resonance that vibrated through the air. Cal noticed the ground cracking slightly in places. Trees nearby bent unnaturally, as if reacting to a strong magnet beneath the surface. He called out warnings whenever the spikes reached dangerous levels, guiding the robotic arm's operation with his instinctual understanding of the land. "Good work, Cal," Dr. Vex said. Her voice was calm, but there was respect in her tone. "Most humans wouldn't last this long under these conditions. You're extraordinary." Cal shook his head. "I'm just used to hard work, that's all." But he felt something stir inside him, a quiet pride. For all their machines, technology, and advanced tools, he realized that humans still had something unique: the ability to endure, to think creatively in unexpected situations, to act instinctively when logic fails. This device, powerful and alien, could affect energy, manipulate machines, and drain humans, but it could not overcome determination, courage, and adaptability. Hours passed, and the sun began to sink low in the sky again. The team had uncovered the device enough to examine its outer layer. It was covered in a smooth, metallic surface that shimmered with faint energy pulses. Strange markings ran across it, alien symbols that seemed to shift and shimmer as the light hit them. Cal studied it carefully, feeling the residual energy tug at his body. "It's alive," he muttered to himself. Not alive in the way animals or humans were, but aware, responsive, and intelligent in some way he could not fully comprehend. Dr. Vex nodded, crouching beside him. "We've never seen anything like this. Ancient, powerful, and persistent. It's remarkable." Cal rested his hands on the monitor, feeling the faint tremor of the energy. Despite the exhaustion, he felt a strange connection to it. He could sense patterns in the spikes, predict reactions before they happened, and even anticipate the device's movements. Humans had always adapted, survived, and thrived against impossible odds. And here, in the face of an alien force, that instinct remained as strong as ever. As evening fell, the team paused for the night. Machines powered down, sensors dimmed, and the hum of the device quieted slightly. Cal sat on a nearby rock, utterly exhausted but alert, watching the sky. The twin moons of Ralden IV rose, casting pale silver light over the plains. Dr. Vex approached him, her steps soft on the grass. "You did well today," she said. "More than anyone could have expected." Cal shook his head. "I just did what felt right, couldn't let it get out of control," she smiled faintly. "And that's what makes humans special. You have a resilience and intuition no machine can replicate. Remember that. Even in the farthest reaches of space, humans are more capable than they often realize." Cal nodded silently. The exhaustion still weighed on him, but so did a quiet pride. He had faced something extraordinary today, a force unlike anything he had encountered, and survived. not just survived, but contributed in ways no machine or calculation could. The night was quiet now, except for the faint hum of the device beneath the soil. Cal leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment, letting the exhaustion wash over him. Tomorrow, the extraction would continue, and he knew he would endure again, as humans always did, facing the unknown with courage, determination, and unyielding will. Because no matter how strange the universe became, humanity had a strength that could not be measured by machines. Resilience, ingenuity, and the refusal to give up, even when every fiber of the body demanded rest. And on Ralden IV, under the silver moons, that human spirit burned as brightly as the next day dawned crisp and bright over the plains of Ralden IV. The golden grass shimmered with dew, and the soft hum of wildlife created a gentle soundtrack for the early morning. Cal Merrick stirred awake before the sun fully rose, muscles aching from the previous day's struggle. Every movement reminded him of the lingering exhaustion from the alien energy that pulsed beneath his land. But Cal was not one to give in easily. He rose from his makeshift sleeping spot outside his cabin, stretching stiff limbs. Even in fatigue, his mind was sharp. Humans had a strange ability to endure, Cal thought, stronger than any machine could measure. He remembered Dr. Leora Vex's words from the night before. Humans have a resilience no machine can match. That thought gave him a quiet spark of determination. By the time the team arrived, Cal was already inspecting the area around the excavation site. The previous night's efforts had created a small clearing in the golden grass, and the device beneath the surface was partially exposed. Its metallic shell shimmered faintly with a soft blue glow, and subtle waves of energy rippled outward, almost like the surface of water disturbed by a stone. Dr. Vex approached, her steps quiet and precise. "Good morning, Mr. Merrick," she said. "You rested well." Cal shook his head with a tired smile. "Rested enough. Can't let this thing get loose." She nodded, scanning the device with her handheld analyzer. "We've stabilized it, but today is the critical stage. We need to fully extract it. And it's likely to resist in ways we can't predict." Cal's brow furrowed. "Resist? How?" "The device has mechanisms built into it, defensive responses. If we disturb it too much or too quickly, it may release energy pulses, change its position, or even interfere with our machines. Humans might feel extreme fatigue or disorientation if we're not careful." Cal swallowed hard, gripping the small monitor she had given him. He could feel the residual energy pulling at his body, but he squared his shoulders. He had faced fatigue, fear, and danger before. Humans adapt, humans endure, and humans find solutions when the universe throws the unexpected at them. The team resumed work. Robotic arms dug carefully, sensors scanned constantly, and energy readings were monitored in real time. Cal stayed close, watching the spikes on his monitor and calling out warnings whenever the energy levels rose. Each spike sent a wave of exhaustion through him, but he ignored it as best as he could. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, casting harsh shadows over the plains. The device beneath the soil began to respond more actively. Its hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground, through Cal's boots, through the air itself. Sparks of blue energy danced along its surface, and the ground seemed to pulse in rhythm with it. "Cal, we need you close," Dr. Vex called, her voice calm but urgent. "The next phase requires human oversight. Machines alone aren't enough." Cal nodded, stepping closer. Despite his fatigue, his mind was clear. Humans had an edge, he realized, precisely because they could sense things machines could not. The energy patterns, the subtle vibrations, even the way the soil shifted, these were all signals that required intuition, not calculation. As he approached, the device reacted. Energy pulses shot outward, more intense than before. Cal felt the fatigue hit him like a wall, every muscle screaming for rest. His knees buckled slightly and his arms trembled. But he didn't fall. He steadied himself against a piece of machinery, breathing deeply. Humans could endure what machines could not. Humans could adapt in the moment, and humans could act instinctively when logic failed. Steady, he muttered to himself. He focused on the patterns of energy, the rhythm of the pulses, and realized he could predict the next surge. He shouted instructions to Dr. Vex and the drones, timing their movements with the energy's fluctuations. The team moved with precision, guided by Cal's instincts. Each pulse of energy was matched by careful adjustments. Machines paused, robotic arms repositioned, and sensors shifted. The device seemed almost intelligent, aware that someone was anticipating its reactions. But Cal remained calm, his human intuition allowing him to find a rhythm the machines alone could not maintain. By mid-afternoon, the extraction had progressed further. The metallic shell of the device gleamed in the sun, and energy waves radiated outward, affecting even the nearby wildlife. Cal noticed the grazers shifting uneasily, but unlike humans, they seemed mostly unaffected. Nature had adapted to this energy over time while humans felt its full effect. Cal, take a step back, Dr. Vex said. It's reacting more aggressively now. You could be in danger. He shook his head, though the exhaustion was almost unbearable. I can handle it, he replied. Just tell me what to do. Dr. Vex studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right, but be careful. The energy pulses are reaching levels that could overwhelm most humans. Cal ignored the warning in words but respected it in action. He positioned himself strategically, guiding the robotic arms with precise timing. Every instruction was critical. One wrong move could destabilize the device. And yet, even as his body begged for rest, his mind was sharp, clear, and focused. The device pulsed again, this time with more intensity. Blue sparks arced across the surface, and the ground trembled beneath them. Machines struggled to maintain stability, sensors flickered, and even Dr. Vex's exosuit showed signs of stress. But Cal's instincts had anticipated the pulse. He directed the machinery with split-second precision, stabilizing the excavation. Good work, Dr. Vex shouted over the hum of energy. Your timing, perfect. Cal wiped sweat from his brow, feeling the exhaustion like a weight pressing him into the ground. But he smiled faintly. Humans had an edge, he realized, not because of strength or speed, but because of intuition, adaptability, and the ability to respond to the unexpected. Machines calculated. Humans survived. Humans found solutions. As the hours wore on, the device began to shift slightly, responding to the disturbance. Cal noticed patterns, subtle movements, energy spikes that occurred in predictable intervals, even the way the ground vibrated. He called out instructions, guiding the team through a complex dance of extraction. Each step required human insight, timing, and courage. Finally, as the sun began to lower in the sky, the device was almost fully exposed. Its metallic surface gleamed with an otherworldly light, faint symbols shimmering like liquid metal. Cal felt a final wave of exhaustion wash over him, stronger than anything before. His legs trembled, his arms ached, and his vision blurred. But he didn't collapse. He focused on the task, on the extraction, on the humans around him who relied on his insight. The final pulse of energy came without warning. Machines faltered, sensors went offline briefly, and the ground trembled violently. Cal's body screamed at him to stop, to sit down, to give in. But he held on, bracing himself, predicting the energy's pattern and guiding the robotic arms with human instinct. Slowly, carefully, the device was lifted from the soil. It hovered for a moment, shimmering with energy, then settled onto a containment platform designed by Dr. Vex. The ground beneath it trembled one last time, then went still. The energy pulses faded, leaving only a faint hum. Cal slumped against a piece of machinery, utterly exhausted. His body had been pushed to its limits, yet his mind remained sharp. He had endured what machines could not, adapted when logic failed, and guided the team through the extraction of a force far beyond human comprehension. Dr. Vex approached him, eyes wide with respect. "Cal, that was extraordinary. You've done what few humans could. Your instincts, your timing, your endurance, without it the extraction would have failed." Cal shook his head, managing a tired smile. "Just did what felt right, couldn't let it get out of control." Dr. Vex's expression softened. "And that's exactly what makes humans remarkable. No machine, no algorithm, no advanced technology can replicate what you did today. Intuition, adaptability, resilience, that's humanity's edge." Cal leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment. The exhaustion pressed on him like a heavy blanket, yet a quiet pride warmed him from within. Humans survived not because they were perfect, but because they could endure, think, adapt, and persevere when everything around them demanded surrender. The plains were quiet again, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. The device sat safely on the platform, contained and inert. The grazers had returned to their grazing, sensing the danger had passed. And Cal, though drained, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had faced something extraordinary, something alien, something far beyond his understanding, and endured. Because humans endured, humans adapted, humans survived. And on Ralden IV, in the golden light of the dying day, that human spirit shone brighter than any machine, any device, any force in the universe. The sun had barely risen over Ralden IV when Cal Merrick awoke, muscles stiff from yesterday's efforts. His body ached as if he had run through a storm, yet his mind was alert. He rose slowly, letting the soft morning breeze wash over him, listening to the familiar sounds of his grazing herd. The golden plains seemed calm, but Cal knew better. The alien device beneath his land was far from done with them. Dr. Leora Vex and her team had stayed overnight in a temporary camp near the excavation site. She approached Cal, scanning the horizon with her handheld analyzer. "Good morning, Cal." "Ready for the next stage?" she asked. Cal rubbed his arms. "As ready as I'll ever be. This thing, it's tricky, isn't it?" She nodded. "More than we anticipated. Yesterday it tested human limits. Today it will test us all." Cal felt a mix of apprehension and determination. He had endured fatigue, predicted energy pulses, and guided the team through a delicate extraction, but he sensed that the device had more defenses than they had seen. Humans had an edge, yes, but only if they could think fast, adapt, and act instinctively. The team returned to the site. The device, partially exposed, pulsed faintly in the morning light. Its metallic surface shimmered, reflecting the twin moons that still lingered faintly in the sky. Symbols on its shell shifted subtly, almost as if observing them. The ground around it vibrated, and Cal noticed patterns in the tremors, using them to anticipate the next movement. "Cal, your instincts will be crucial today," Dr. Vex said. "Machines can only do so much. The next step is to lift the device onto our containment platform. But be ready, it may resist actively." Cal nodded. He gripped the small monitor she had given him, ready to track energy spikes. He felt the familiar tug of fatigue, a lingering reminder of the device's power, but he pushed it aside. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans act. As the robotic arms descended to lift the device, it responded immediately. Blue energy arcs leapt across the surface, and the ground beneath them shuddered violently. Sensors flickered, and even Dr. Vex's exosuit emitted warning signals. The device was alive in a way that no machine could fully comprehend. Cal staggered slightly, the fatigue pressing hard, but he steadied himself. He studied the energy patterns, noticing the subtle rhythm in the pulses. "Wait, hold," he shouted. His voice carried over the hum of machines. "Pause, it's going to pulse again." The robotic arms froze just in time. A wave of energy surged from the device, sweeping across the site. Machines rattled, sensors alarmed, and the ground shook. Cal pressed his hands against the monitor, watching the spikes in real time. The fatigue slammed into him like a wall, yet he stayed upright, guiding the team. Dr. Vex glanced at him, concern etched on her face. Cal, step back, it's dangerous. I've got it, he replied, teeth gritted. He noticed a pattern, each pulse was slightly delayed, predictable if timed correctly. Using his intuition, he directed the robotic arms, moving the device in rhythm with its energy surges. The ground quaked, but the machinery followed his instructions. Hours passed like this. Each step required precise coordination. The device pulsed, trembled, and resisted, yet Cal adapted. Machines faltered, alarms blared, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with energy, but his instincts kept the team one step ahead. He realized something profound. Humans were uniquely equipped for the unpredictable. Machines calculated, but humans sensed. Humans endured, even when every logical system failed. At midday, the device reacted in a way they had not anticipated. A sudden magnetic pulse erupted, pulling metal equipment toward it. Robotic arms twisted slightly, sensors scrambled, and the containment platform shook. Cal stumbled backward, fatigue gripping his legs. He could feel every step taking more strength than he had. "Cal," Dr. Vex shouted. "Hold it steady," he focused, taking a deep breath. "Use the support cables, slow lift, wait for pulse." His voice carried authority, guided by instinct and intuition rather than calculation. The team obeyed, pausing the lift at the perfect moment. The magnetic pulse passed, leaving the equipment intact. Cal collapsed briefly on a piece of machinery, catching his breath. "You're remarkable," Dr. Vex said softly. "Most humans would be down by now." "I'm used to working hard," Cal replied between breaths. "Can't stop now." The afternoon brought a new challenge. The device began to rotate slightly, its metallic surface catching the sunlight, casting shifting patterns across the plains. Energy pulses became erratic, almost as if it were testing them, trying to understand the humans working to remove it. Cal noticed the rhythm again, subtle and irregular, and shouted precise instructions to the robotic arms. "Slow lift, tilt right, steady, now." The machinery responded, guided by human insight rather than pure programming. For the first time, Dr. Vex seemed to relax slightly, witnessing how Cal's instincts could predict and control the device's movements. Machines were powerful, but humans were adaptable, able to respond to the unexpected in ways no algorithm could match. As the sun began to sink, casting long shadows across the plains, the team faced the final test. The device emitted a powerful energy wave, shaking the entire site. Sparks flew from the metallic surface, the ground trembled, and the air crackled with electricity. Machines groaned under the strain. Sensors flashed red. Cal's legs shook, his arms trembled, and his mind was fogged with fatigue. Yet he stood firm, gripping the monitor, shouting instructions with precision born from instinct and experience. He guided the robotic arms, timing their movements perfectly with the energy pulses. Every second was critical, every decision mattered. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the device was fully lifted onto the containment platform. It hovered slightly, then settled securely. The energy pulses faded gradually, leaving only a faint hum. The ground ceased trembling, the air grew still, and the plains seemed to exhale in relief. Cal slumped against the containment platform, utterly exhausted. His body felt like it had been through a storm, every muscle screaming, yet his mind was clear. He had endured, adapted, and acted when no machine could. Humanity's edge had shone brightly in the face of the unknown. Dr. Vex approached, her eyes wide with admiration. "Cal, that was extraordinary. You've done what few humans could. Your instincts, your endurance, your courage, it saved the extraction." Cal shook his head, managing a tired smile. "Just did what needed to be done, couldn't let it get loose." "And that's exactly why humans are remarkable," Dr. Vex replied. "Machines calculate, but humans anticipate. Machines follow logic, but humans feel patterns. Machines work within limits, but humans adapt beyond them. You've proven that today. Cal nodded, leaning back. The exhaustion pressed down on him, heavy but satisfying. He realized something important. The universe might be full of strange and powerful forces, but humanity had something unique: instinct, resilience, courage, and the ability to survive when everything seemed against them. As the twin moons of Ralden IV rose in the sky, casting silver light over the plains, Cal watched quietly. The device was contained. The plains were calm once more. The grazers had returned to grazing, sensing that the danger had passed. And Cal, though drained, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had faced something extraordinary, something alien, something far beyond his understanding, and survived. Humans could endure, humans could adapt, humans could act instinctively when the unexpected struck. Machines were helpful, technology was powerful, but humanity, resilient, clever, and unyielding, still held the edge. And on Ralden IV, under the silver glow of the moons, Cal's spirit reflected the truth of humanity itself. No matter how strange, how dangerous, or how alien the universe might be, humans could rise, endure, and triumph. Because humans endured, humans adapted, humans survived. And when the universe tested them, their spirit burned brighter than any machine, any device, any force beyond comprehension. The morning light spilled across the golden plains of Ralden IV, brushing the tall grass with a soft, warm glow. The twin moons were still faintly visible in the sky, remnants of night clinging to the horizon. Cal Merrick stirred from a restless sleep, his body sore from the previous day's grueling work. Every muscle ached, yet he rose with determination. The alien device, now fully contained on the platform designed by Dr. Leora Vex and her team, pulsed faintly, a harmless hum that echoed through the quiet air. For the first time in days, it no longer radiated strong energy waves. The ground was calm, the air steady, and the grazers wandered nearby, sensing the danger had passed. Cal leaned against a fence post, taking in the scene. Dr. Vex approached him, scanning the device one last time. Her expression was a mixture of relief and admiration. "We've done it," she said softly. "It's fully contained. No more energy pulses, no more risk." Cal nodded, still tired but satisfied. "Feels good to finally see it settled." The team gathered around, checking the containment systems and recording data. Machines whirred quietly, robotic arms retracted, and sensors dimmed to a low glow. The alien device sat silently, its metallic shell reflecting the morning sun. For all its power and strangeness, it had been defeated, not by brute force but by careful coordination, precise timing, and the human instinct to endure. Dr. Vex looked at Cal, her eyes wide with respect. "You know, this would not have been possible without you. Machines alone cannot handle unpredictability like this. They calculate, predict, and respond, but they cannot feel patterns or react instinctively the way a human can. You guided us through every pulse, every spike, every risk. You saved this operation." Cal shook his head, brushing the sweat and dirt from his brow. "I just did what felt right, couldn't let it get out of control." "That's the thing," Dr. Vex said, smiling faintly. "You didn't just react, you adapted. Humans can do that. Machines calculate, but humans sense. You anticipated, you endured, and you acted. That's why humanity is special." Cal let the words sink in. He had spent decades on the frontier, relying on experience, intuition, and stubbornness to survive. He had faced dust storms, predators, and mechanical failures, but nothing had tested him like this device. Yet here he was, standing amid the plains, exhausted but triumphant. Hours passed as the team secured the device for transport. Robotic arms carefully lifted it into a containment unit, designed to shield it from the environment and prevent any accidental energy release. Sensors tracked every movement, ensuring stability. Cal assisted where he could, offering advice based on instinct and experience rather than technology. Even in his fatigue, his insight proved invaluable. Once the device was safely contained, Dr. Vex turned to Cal. "I know you're exhausted," she said gently. "Why don't you rest while we prepare for transport?" Cal shook his head, a faint smile on his lips. "I'll stay a bit longer, want to make sure it's really secure." She studied him for a moment. "You have remarkable endurance. Most humans would be completely drained after yesterday's work, yet you keep going." Cal chuckled softly. "Frontier life. You get used to pushing through, you survive, you adapt, and you keep going." Dr. Vex nodded thoughtfully. "And that's exactly what makes humans extraordinary. Machines are tools, technology is powerful, but human adaptability, intuition, and resilience, that's unmatched." By midday, the containment unit was ready. The device, though silent, shimmered faintly under the sun. Cal watched as the team prepared to transport it to a secure research facility. He felt a quiet pride. Humanity's strengths, intuition, endurance, courage, had triumphed over an alien force far beyond comprehension. As the containment vehicle lifted, Cal's gaze followed it until it disappeared over the horizon. The plains were quiet again, calm under the afternoon sun. He let out a deep breath, feeling the exhaustion settle fully into his bones. He had faced something extraordinary, something alien, something that challenged his very limits and survived. He looked around at his herd, grazing peacefully, the golden grass swaying in the breeze. Life on Ralden IV continued, resilient and unbroken. Cal realized that in a way he had not just protected his land, he had proven something about humanity itself. "Humans endure," he muttered to himself. "Humans adapt. Humans survive." Dr. Vex approached again, her steps quiet. "You've earned a moment to rest," she said. "But I hope you remember what you've done here. Today you proved that humanity has a strength beyond technology, beyond calculation, beyond any alien force." Cal nodded, smiling faintly. "I'll remember, not because of me, but because of what humans can do." She looked around at the plains, then back at him. "Exactly, that's humanity's edge. No matter what the universe throws at you, you endure, adapt, and find a way forward." The day wore on, and Cal finally allowed himself to sit and rest. He leaned back against a fence post, closing his eyes for a few moments, letting the warmth of the sun wash over him. The exhaustion still lingered, heavy in his limbs, but it was mixed with satisfaction, pride, and a deep understanding of what it meant to be human. The plains were quiet, save for the soft whispers of the wind and the low hum of distant machinery. Life had returned to normal, yet the memory of the device and the energy it had emitted lingered in Cal's mind. He realized that the universe was full of mysteries, challenges, and forces beyond understanding. But humanity, with its resilience, ingenuity, and courage, could face them all. As evening approached, painting the plains in gold and violet, Cal walked among his herd. He checked each animal, ensuring they were safe, strong, and calm. Even in exhaustion, he moved with careful attention, aware of the land and the life it sustained. Dr. Vex joined him, scanning the horizon. "You know," she said, "this planet, this land, it's remarkable. But humans make it remarkable. You've shown me that today." Cal smiled faintly. "Just did what had to be done." She shook her head with admiration. "It's more than that. You've shown me, and perhaps the universe, that humanity has a strength that cannot be measured by machines or technology. You've proven it here on Ralden IV." The sky darkened, stars beginning to twinkle against the deepening blue. The twin moons rose again, casting silver light across the plains. Cal sat on a small rise, watching the moons reflect on the golden grass. He felt a quiet contentment, knowing that despite exhaustion, fear, and the unknown, he had endured. He had adapted. He had survived. And humanity, he realized, always would. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to fully relax. The alien device had been neutralized, the danger contained, and life on Ralden IV could continue. He had proven, not just to Dr. Vex or himself, but to the universe, that humans possessed a unique strength. the ability to face the unknown, to endure beyond limits, and to act instinctively when everything else failed. He let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past days lift slightly from his shoulders. The exhaustion remained, but it was accompanied by pride and understanding. He had seen what humans could accomplish when the universe challenged them, and he had lived to see the triumph. As the night deepened, Cal lay back on the grass, gazing up at the stars. The plains were peaceful, the winds gentle, and the grazers quiet. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and dangers, yet humanity's edge, resilience, intuition, courage, remained unbroken. In that quiet moment, Cal felt a profound connection to the universe. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced. But they endured, adapted, and survived in ways no other species could. And in that enduring spirit lay the true strength of humanity. The plains of Ralden IV stretched endlessly, golden under the moonlight. Cal closed his eyes, feeling the exhaustion settle fully, but also feeling the quiet power of survival and resilience within him. Humanity had triumphed, not through force alone, but through spirit, determination, and adaptability. And under the silver moons of Ralden IV, Cal Merrick slept peacefully, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would endure, humans would adapt, and humans would survive. Because that was who they were. And that was humanity's edge.